welcome to another episode of
Health and Wellness 360 with TFal Chi.
Our mission is to empower you to be the very best version of yourself.
By providing you with practical and tangible tools to live a healthy lifestyle.
To learn more about us, go to www.tfalandchi.com.
And now, enjoy the show. Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Health and Wellness 360 with TFal Chi. As you're joining, please let us know where you're joining us from, and let us know how you slept last night. Was it good? Did you have enough sleep? Just type it in. Welcome. My name is TFal. I am an infectious disease physician and professor of medicine. I'm an author, podcaster, and a wellness coach, and the other half of TFal Chi. And I'm joined by my husband, Chi.
Thank you, my dear. And I'm Chi. I'm the other half, yes. And I'm a fitness coach. My focus is nutrition, mental health. I'm also a healthcare director as well. So thank you so much for being here today. And why we do what we do. We always like to share why we do what we do. And what are you going to say, honey? What are you going to say?
Why we do what we do. Our mission is to empower you to be the very best versions of yourself, right? And really working around knowing our numbers around chronic disease and being aware of chronic disease prevention. We do this to really change the curve of chronic diseases in our communities. One of the ways we do that is through our wellness coaching and one-on-one coaching. One of that is also doing this kind of programs where we educate and inform, but also through our merchandise. Today is our 6-month anniversary, so it's a very special time for us, 6 months of TFal Chi LLC. And what we do with our messaging when we talk about how fab, which we're wearing right now, is how fab are your numbers, and knowing your numbers around blood pressure, cholesterol, your body mass index, your waist circumference, and all of that, your cholesterol levels, and really saying that it's important to know our numbers, and fabulous begins on the inside. So it's one of the things we do. And for this weekend, because it's our 6-month anniversary, all of our merchandise is on sale. You can join the movement and get these things. 20% off everything, our tanks, our t-shirts, our hoodies, because our merchandise helps with our message, and you can be part of the movement about, just like it's important to know our credit score, and denial is not good. Knowledge is power, and let's normalize knowing our numbers. So that's why we do what we do. And you're going to tell us about our show today.
Yes, and just a little bit more about why we do what we do. Today in America, we have over 60% of adults who have a chronic condition.
Yes.
And about over 40% of them actually have comorbid ones who have 2 or more chronic diseases. So over 90% of all the spend in healthcare is attributed to chronic diseases. We want to make a change in that. And that trajectory has to change.
Yes.
And it starts with each and every one of you. We want you to be part of this fight, part of this movement, joining the TFal and Chi family to change the curve. And chronic diseases in America has taken too many lives. And impacting so many families. And I'm sure many of you watching us today from wherever you are in the world know someone who's dealing with 1 or 2 chronic conditions, right? And today, our focus is sleep, which is, which when it's not done well, when we're not getting enough or too much, becomes a risk factor for chronic disease. So 1 in 3 adults has sleep issues in terms of have challenges sleeping or not getting enough. 2 in 3 teenagers have challenges with issues with sleep as well. Think about this, 1/3 of all the accidents in the United States, 1/3 of all the deadly accidents is due to drowsy driving. Can you believe that? We could make a change. So thank you for putting that up, producer. Thank you for sharing that. So we need to begin to make a change in that trajectory, making sure that we're getting sufficient sleep and restorative sleep. So, TFal, I'm going to ask you, what happens when we sleep?
Wow. Thank you so much for that question. And thank you, Ellis, for putting that up. So when our teens are a little moody, it's because they're not getting enough sleep. And 1 in 3 is a lot. So one of the things that we now know from science is that sleep is not optional. It's not a luxury. It is a vital part of our health and contributes to a lot of chronic diseases, like you mentioned. A lot of us, when we plan our day, kind of put sleep on the back burner. Some of us I only need 3 hours of sleep as a badge of honor. We know that sleep is not a benign process. It's actually a very active process in our brain. What that does is when we get sleep, both the quantity and the quality matters, because sleep restores, it powers our mind, it restores our body, allows our body to renew and repair our cells, and it allows certain hormones that are important for growth, for a lot of functioning to happen during sleep.
Let me stop you for a moment. So remember this, quantity and quality. This is one of the issues where quantity and quality matters, right? Yes. So let's go ahead.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so it's really important. And it's important to know that, when we go to sleep, there are a lot of chemicals that happen. There are things that are produced at night. There are also chemicals that build up in our body, the waste products of all the things we're doing, how our brain is working during the day. And when that reaches a level, our body says it's time to go to bed with the nighttime, with things like that. And then if we stimulate ourselves too much, we don't get enough sleep. There are phases of sleep that happen. There's a drowsy phase. Then you go into light sleep, where you can usually start to, your blood pressure starts to go down a little bit, your body temperature goes down, and then you move into deep sleep, right? That's a phase 3. And during that time, your muscles are relaxed, your heart rate goes down. That is when your body starts to repair and renew. Your immune system is working and building up your immunity. And then you get into this, what we call the REM sleep, or the rapid eye movement sleep. And that's where a lot of learning and creating parts of your brain are activated for learning, memories, and things like that. So when that cycle usually takes about 90 minutes, and we need about maybe 4 or 5 of those cycles to get good sleep. And every time our sleep is short, we're cutting back on the ability for memories and functioning and learning. We're cutting back on deep sleep that helps release our stress. We're cutting back on a lot of things. So when we think of what happens during sleep, we start to understand why the consequences of poor sleep are there. And, sleep physiology is more complicated than that, but is like, we need this as a vital part of our health. So that's my short answer of what happens during sleep. It's not benign, and we need it.
Yes. And as you keep coming through, because we see quite a few are coming through, just let us know how you slept last night. All right. Was it good? Was it poor?
How many hours did you sleep?
How many hours did you sleep? Could you get some more?
Later.
Yes.
So Chi, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So we've talked about what happens during sleep. Can you share with our audience what are some of the reasons why we don't sleep well?
Sure. Thank you for that question. So there are quite a few, many reasons why we don't sleep well. Perhaps it could be due to our what we eat, our diet. When perhaps we're not getting enough exercise. Perhaps we have stressors in our lives that are impacting us from sleeping well. Perhaps we're dealing with issues of mental health, anxiety, and things like that. Perhaps we're not moving as much as we should move, or we're not getting enough water in our diet as well. So there's so many reasons why we don't get sufficient sleep and restorative sleep. Wow. Those two come hand in hand. Sufficient and restorative. Just think about that. If you don't take anything away from us today, just think about sufficient and restorative.
And that's
all right,
the quantity and the quality.
And the quality as well.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So you've talked about all of these things that we're doing during the day that may affect irregardless of even medical issues like our stress and all that. Sure. And then all the distractions and stimulants and all these things that we have. And we know that people who work, shift workers and jet lag and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So, and even, sometimes we over caffeinate, right? Caffeine is not bad in its own. It's not. But when we over caffeinate or we use stimulants to keep us up, then it impacts the way and what happens in our brain and the chemicals in our body. So those things impact us from getting the kind of sleep that we should be getting.
Yes.
So, and we know there's some, there are things you see in terms of when you're not getting enough sleep, right?
Can you share some of those?
Yeah. So when you're not getting enough sleep, things like, your mood will be different. Your response rate will be different. Even driving, like we talked about, drowsy driving, and your productivity at work gets impacted. The way you relate with friends, family, your relationships get impacted as a whole as well, right? So, and everything in terms of your physical, your mental, your emotional becomes a huge issue. And all of a sudden, then you have, issues of, impact on chronic disease, inflammation, and so on and so forth. But there are other issues as well that we don't see. And that's what I want you to talk about, the things that we physically don't see when we're not getting enough sleep or restorative sleep. Can you share some of those with us?
Wow, thank you so much. And I like the fact that you talked about all of the stuff around our mood. I mean, we know how irritable we get and cranky when we're not getting enough sleep. Toddlers feel that way, and adults do. We just don't get to act out like toddlers do when they don't get enough sleep.
Sure.
But you pretty much talked about productivity and how sleep is such a performance enhancer that we don't even think about. It's the most underrated performance enhancer.
Alice, can you just put that up? Because oftentimes we think about performance enhancement as things we have to put in our system. But sleep is something that we are given as an innate thing. Can you just, thank you so much. It's a performance enhancer.
And for those people, we're talking with Ellis behind, before we started, for people who say, oh, I sleep 3 hours, I'm good. If you're good, you could be better. If you think I'm awesome, you could be more awesome. Sleep is so restorative. So you talked about some of the things we see right away. But what we also know is that the adverse effects of chronic sleep deprivation are many in terms of, you talked about inflammation. That inflammation and dysregulation increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. It increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. It increases the risk of, it's associated sometimes with depression. It can worsen mental health conditions. It can worsen things like dementia, sleep deprivation. So all of those things. And in addition to that, chronic sleep deprivation has been linked in some studies to mortality, especially if people have underlying disease like heart disease or lung disease. But in addition to that, associated with obesity. So some of the just few facts.
You just mentioned obesity.
Yes.
Can you just dive a little deeper into that? Obesity, sleep, obesity.
And weight.
And weight. Can you just share a little bit?
Sometimes we don't think about that correlation. So sleep increases your risk of poor sleep, less than 5 hours chronically. It increases your risk of stroke by 4.5 times. It increases your risk of obesity by 50%. So the question you ask is, we're talking about sleep and weight. How does that correlate? Well, how are sleep and weight issues correlated? Well, a couple of reasons, and I'll talk about like 3 or 4 of them. One is the fact that when you're sleeping, not when you're chronically sleep deprived, there's certain hormones in our brains that are dysregulated at that point. So hormones like leptin that controls our satiety is underproduced. So all of a sudden, you're hungry all the time.
So stop there for a moment. So is this why perhaps sometimes we wake up to go eat some more?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because we're not getting enough of those hormones. Then we open up the refrigerator.
I shouldn't be hungry, but I am. So you really are hungry because leptin is underproduced when you're chronically sleep deprived. Ghrelin, which is your appetite hormone, is overproduced. So you're hungry and you're never full. So that's 2 reasons why it's associated with weight gain. The third thing is that when you're sleep deprived, your stress hormones are up. We've talked about cortisol on this show a couple of times. When cortisol is up, it affects your insulin levels, insulin resistance. It stores all your calories as fat. So it's again causing weight gain. Then you talk about if you're up.
One moment, TFal. So cortisol, my wife just talked about cortisol. It's a stress hormone, and it's one of the toughest kind of hormones to get rid of when it attaches, because it attaches itself around the midsection, right? It's so difficult to get rid of. And the more stress we build into our system, the more cortisol we produce, and the tougher it is to lose weight.
Yes, and then 2 more reasons. So we talked about leptin, we talked about ghrelin, we talked about cortisol. The other thing is that because you're up, that's just more time to eat. And if depending on what's in your home, usually if you're up at 2 in the morning, you're not reaching for a healthy snack for most people. So you're grabbing something that makes you feel good. The fifth part is that then you wake up tired the next day. If you're tired, you're less likely to exercise. If you're tired, you're more likely to use stimulants like nicotine, caffeine, other stimulants to stay awake, which affects your sleep the next night, and the cycle doesn't break. We have coaching clients we work with who are doing everything with the nutrition part of their stuff and exercise, but until we get into their sleep and get their sleep hygiene improved, they can't lose weight or lose it as much as they want. So sleep is so important for so many reasons, and it can affect your ability to lose weight or continue to gain weight because of some of these things we talked about.
And this is why our show is very unique in many ways, because we have a lot of, on Black Doctor, you have a lot of, very good people who are talking about exercise, who are talking about different disease modalities and things like that. But we connect the dots. We talk about the mental, the sleep aspect, the physical aspect, the nutritional aspect. We help you connect and see how all this makes sense. All right. We'll break it down for you. And go ahead, honey.
Like we have a question, because I have you on the hot seat now. Next, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about how we can actually optimize sleep hygiene. So start getting ready.
Sure.
The question is, greetings. Hello, Elaine. Greetings from Texas. Graveyard shift, 12/8/10 Thank you for what you do. It's hard to sleep during the day. I can't change shifts. Any suggestions, vitamins, etc.? That is an excellent question, because if you remember when Chi talked, like shift workers are some of the people who have sleep disruption. When I was in training as a resident medical student fellow with a pager and all, it's the same thing. Your sleep is off, you're caffeinated. During the day, you don't get the natural darkness to go to bed. There's sunlight. So things you can do. Obviously, you can't change your shift, and we need people to help our economy and do what they're doing. So it's really important that when you get home after your shift, to try and simulate as much darkness as you can. Sometimes things like magnesium can help. Drinking a lot of water on your way home from your shift, and really just minimizing distractions, light in your room, so you can get the best of that sleep, and making sure that if you have people in your lives, your family, that they understand that when you do come home, while the rest of them are up and ready to go, your body needs to do that, because you're working against a natural clock, which is sunrise, we wake up, light, we go to bed. But a lot of people doing great work have to do that, unfortunately. But there are things you can do.
Yes, there's so many things you can do. And a lot more about the things you can do in terms of, think about when you eat as well. When you eat and what you eat. Blackout curtains. So when you eat and what you eat is super important, all right? So if you're eating late before you head to bed, that might be an issue. Then all of a sudden, you're at risk of acid reflux, of heartburn and things, because acid is produced in our digestive system to help you break food down. And when that acid has to come back up, because we're laying down as soon as we go to bed, it's tough getting some sleep when that happens, right? So things you can continue to do. Think about when you go to get a massage session, right? The massage therapist automatically turns on some mood music, turns the light down, get some music in there to relax you. These are some of the things you can begin to do, even when you walk shift, right? So you're using the time that you're sleeping to maximize it. Turn lights down so your brain understands you need to sleep. Make sure you have that mood around your room. Limit screen time, be it on your phone, be it on the television, and just focus to get that sufficient and restorative sleep.
So you can do the great work.
So you can do the great work that you do. And thank you for that question. That's awesome. And we appreciate you for being on the show.
Thank you, Elaine.
We hope you can continue to come.
Keep up doing your great work. And Elaine cued us right into where I was going to ask you. We've talked about what happens during sleep. It's not a benign process. We talk about some of the reasons why we don't sleep well. We've talked about what happens immediately and longer term if you have chronic sleep deprivation. Now I'm going to ask you to share some of the things we can do to optimize our sleep hygiene, because we want to leave people, like we always do, with things they can start to do today. So how can we improve our sleep hygiene?
Of course. So sleep hygiene has to do with the overall wellness and health, right? So things you can begin to do: try to move as much as you can during the day, right? Try to exercise, be it maybe you're doing your yoga or you're taking walks outside, or you're walking in your garden. But any form of exercise that allows you to move your body is very critical. Then again, your gut health allows you to sleep well as well. If you're getting the right foods, things like turkey has tryptophan, which is an amino acid that when released allows your body to relax. So eating the right foods and getting a lot of foods that have magnesium in it, so things like almonds are rich in magnesium, rich in manganese, and this allows your body to completely relax, right? So foods that are natural in nature, closer to the earth, that allow you to relax, very, very important. And also your social network. Your tribe is super important in trying to help relieve some of that stress, because stress keeps us up at night. So make sure your tribe is a supportive one, be it your family, your friends, and people who love you. Make sure those are critical and close to you as well. So reducing stress, exercise, eating the right foods, having the right tribe, very important.
So all of these you've told us are things we do even before bedtime. So things we're doing during the day. A little bit more about that food. So what are things we shouldn't be doing just before bed?
Of course. So right before bed, think about this. Caffeine. Keep caffeine away from you at least 6 to 8 hours before you go to bed. Otherwise, that's going to keep you up, right? Okay. So caffeine. Then also think about, carbohydrates. High carb meals will keep you up, because your body is trying to break it down. Then all of a sudden it finds that you're not exercising or moving, it dumps it as fat. So you lose on both ends, right? So high carb meals, fried foods, fatty foods, all those will give you heartburn and keep you up. Increase your protein intake, your vegetable intake as well. And water. Drink lots of water. Water helps you in terms even with your sleep hygiene as well.
So those are things we're doing before we even get to bed.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things we can do once we get into the bedroom, or to make it a place that we can get that quality and quantity sleep? Because we want to get through as many cycles of sleep at night.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make this real short and quick, because we have about 8 minutes left. This show flies by so quickly. So
more things in the bedroom.
Yeah, so remember, your bedroom is a sanctuary. Just think about it this way. It's a sanctuary for you to relax. Life is hard enough in so many different aspects, right? So you want a sanctuary. Your room should be that place. Your bedroom, wherever you call your bedroom, should be a sanctuary where you can put your head down, lower dim lights, have the mood music if you can, or white noise, whatever you have in place. Even while brushing your teeth before you go to bed at night, dim the lights, because what happens is that while you're brushing your teeth and the light is bright, it hits your brain and tells you, stay awake, stay awake. The same thing. Yeah, I'm still up, I'm still up. So you have to think about those little things you can tweak, right? Because many of us cannot make changes with our jobs, right? So we respect that. But there are things that we feel that you can tweak and make a big change within your system, within your ecosystem at home, that will help quite a bit as well.
Wow, preparing for that, preparing for sleep, not making it a last minute, I'm up and then it's not going to happen. Preparing for it, optimizing, having a regular schedule of when you go to bed and when you wake up, and making it that way.
Right. So now, what about sleep issues, and when should we see a doctor? Because we know that people who suffer from poor sleep hygiene, but it's hard for them to make those changes because there are deeper issues there.
Correct. And
real quickly, we have 6 minutes, so let's do this.
And again, deep issues of sleep is a whole show of itself. So these tips we've given are that will help, but there are times when people have what we call micro sleeps, falling asleep during the day, waking up and still feeling tired after getting, the recommended hours of sleep, having chronic headaches, having chronic fatigue, your partner or bed person saying a lot of snoring, or times when you stop breathing. Those are signs that could be of a serious sleep disorder, right? And there's dozens of sleep disorders that people have studied, that doctors who are specialized, they're done with medicine, they're sleep certified. So for some of those, if you have those symptoms, discuss with your primary care doctor, because it will refer you to a sleep specialist to get a sleep study to see if you have something like sleep apnea that can cause death if it's not treated, chronic insomnia, things like restless leg syndrome, narcolepsy. So there's a chronic insomnia. These are serious disorders that require a specialist to do a sleep study, and then depending on what the diagnosis for treatment. But regardless of all of those particular sleep disorders, all of these things we've discussed around sleep hygiene are going to be good to optimize your health.
Perfect. Perfectly wrapped up that way. Love it, love it, love it. And we're going to be moving quickly here because we've got about 5 minutes to show. And this is why we love it. It moves quickly, but we try to give you as much information as possible, right? So sleep is not optional.
No.
Sleep is not a luxury either. So let's put that up for a second. So sleep is not optional and sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is a necessity. Yes. We must have it. We must have it sufficiently and we must have it restoratively. All right. So now we're going to go to our Make It Make Sense segment.
Make it make sense.
Yes.
And this time it's directly tied into our thing. So it's a simple one. It's what is the sleep number?
Sleep number, yeah.
The sleep number is for CDC and for the National Sleep Foundation is that for adults over the age of 18, you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Yeah. Teenagers need anywhere from 9 to 10 hours, maybe a little bit more. These are averages. Some people can do a little bit less, a little bit more, but at least 7 hours, right, of sleep. And chronic sleep deprivation, if you're getting less than 5 hours, most days of the week, that is sleep deprivation. And your body is paying for it. Your mind, your performance, things are paying for it. So our teenagers are deprived, you said 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
Some of their mood things, some of their anxiety, but it also affects their ability to learn because they're not getting into REM sleep so many times. And that's where you form all your learning and things like that. And what are the signs you're not getting enough sleep? If you wake up, you're still tired. If you're falling asleep, if you have chronic headaches, those are things you might want to discuss with your doctor to know if you need additional sleep.
Or if you have mood swings, you feel that, there are mood swings here and there may just be sleep, right? That needs to be tweaked. And, so speak to your doctor, your physician about these issues as well. So they may help you as well. So the benefits of sleep, right?
Yes. So go ahead.
No, on this show, we always talk about leaving you with a couple of things. EMT, eat well, move as much as you can, think about your purpose. Today, we're adding an S to the end of that. So EMTS, sleep.
Yes.
Sleep. So eat well, move as much as you can, think about your purpose. So that helps you achieve your goals every day. And your purpose is something for you and something for society, right? And sleep as much as you can, when you can. All right.
And the benefits of sleep, we talked about, it increases your concentration, your attention, your decision making, your productivity, and your overall health, your physical, mental, social, emotional health when you sleep.
Yeah. And, full disclosure, I used to have those challenges as well, especially after grad school, just not getting enough sleep. I was one of those people, right, where I felt I had to get everything done. I couldn't get it. But my wife has been super, super awesome in that space. She's helped me to try to get as much sleep as I can. And sometimes you just have to put your computer down, your phone down to get the amount of sleep that you need. And if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to, see issues like, mood swings, anger issues, relationship issues. Even
you're
job, you're more impulsive. Your job all of a sudden is at risk and things like that. Accidents, we talked about 1/3 of all deadly accidents in the United States is due to drowsy driving. As much as someone's drunk and driving, same thing, So it's very key. We love you.
Thank you so much for watching. Please share this with friends, family. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TFal Chi. And again, this weekend, you can be part of the message. All of our merchandise, T-shirts, tanks, hoodies, they're all 20% off on our website, tfalandchi.com. Remember, prepare to sleep.
Prepare to sleep.
Really make it a priority. And
love you guys.
Thank you
for always supporting us. We couldn't do this without you guys.
6 months.
We can't wait to see you guys every 2 weeks. This is awesome. So thank you so much. We love you. We hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Yes, share this message. Share it with as many people as you can.
Thank you, Ellis.
Thank you. Yeah.